Hello, hello. This is the 203rd Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2225, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. So we're kind of hyped because we've just watched something pretty cool.
Yeah, the opening ceremony for the Pirate Games.
Yes. It just finished, I think, half an hour ago.
Yeah, we scheduled ourselves a little bit there. We timed it nicely.
Yeah.
Figured we'd watch that and then talk about the Pirate Games themselves.
Yes. And I would say, as far as opening ceremonies are concerned, this was a pretty cool one.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of pyrotechnics.
Yes.
Which makes sense when you've got pirate ships flying through the sky, shooting off cannonballs and so on. But, not regular cannonballs. They're destructive. If you don't shoot them into something, they'll just fall down. It's a bit boring. These are a bit more fun. They're like, swave ball versions of cannonballs, so they float along a lot further, and then they have all kinds of, like I say, pyrotechnics coming out of them.
And they had all kinds of pirates swinging on ropes from one airship to another, and then nicely illuminated and so on. There's some pretty cool sound effects. Yeah. But before we talk about the opening ceremony, maybe you want to mention what the pirate games are.
All right, yes. I don't think we've talked about them on a previous episode, so exactly for our listeners. Pirate Games, they happen every 32 months.
Yeah.
I think, so I know they had, because it's been around for thousands of years, the Olympics. It's along the lines of the Olympics, but pirate-themed. Because of the 32-month thing, like I just mentioned, there isn't like a separate winter or summer one. You just have the one every 32 months.
Yep.
Pirate theme. So, for example, we'll talk about the individual games as we go,
But the participants are basically the best at their game.
Yep.
So they can be professionals or just really good amateurs. And then, lots of
And
different
they don't have to be pirates themselves. In fact, actually, most of them aren't.
Yeah, exactly. They're just pirate skills, but not necessarily. Just like at the Olympic Games, you have to be an Olympian person.
Exactly, no. They're not Olympians. And
or with the Highland Games, you don't have to live in a...
You don't have to be a Highlander.
Yes, you don't have to live in a highland either.
No. Have you seen that old film? Highlander?
I've seen the second reboot.
Okay.
It's like the sequel to the second reboot. That's the one I saw.
But point being, immortal. You don't have to be an immortal to take part in the Highland Games. You don't need to be a pirate to take part in the Pirate Games.
Yes, exactly. Very good summary. So maybe we speak about the opening ceremony first,
right,
because we just saw it.
Yep. So we mentioned some of the more spectacular things, and then as part of it, there's always the hoisting of the Jolly Roger. Yeah, that's like the culmination of the ceremony. That's
basically what I mean. They've been carrying the Jolly Roger around basically from where the previous pirate games were.
Yep.
Since then, they've it's
always been on a boat, like on a pirate ship. It never is not.
Yes.
What do flags do? Not sailing, but like flapping in the wind. It's
flagging.
Always doing that. Is the point?
Is it flagging? Maybe
it's flapping. I don't know.
Flaggering.
Wiggling. Moving.
It's always been wiggling.
Yeah, up at the top, and not just randomly, but up at the top of a mast on a pirate ship,
or at the bottom, depending on the ship's model.
Of its orientation. Anyways. Flying continuously for over 150 years, and every 32 months, hoisted up to wiggle around in the sky above the games.
Exactly, so that it's always immediately starting towards the next pirate games. So that's the thing. It's not like they put it in a cupboard somewhere, and then a couple of weeks before it starts, they put it back up. It's always in the air.
Yeah, correct. And so sure that there was that. That's the main thing. And then every games, there's always usually the popular band of the day.
Yeah.
Or at least a well-respected band. So this time it was the Mad Caddies, and they sang "What Shall We Do" with a drunken sailor. But the song's just called "What Shall We Do."
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Yeah, I thought they had put a nice.
It was really like upbeat and jaunty.
Yeah, kind of like a little bit of ska, a little bit of reggae.
Yeah.
This was a really nice version. Yeah, I thought there was kind of like there was the last thing that happened before they hoisted the Jolly Roger, and there was a nice culmination of everything. And then there was declared the pirate games to be opened, and then officially the games start. But they had already because there are so many pirate games already. Some of them had already started during the day.
Right, yeah.
Just there were no winners yet, so these were like pre-rounds.
They were like the games that take longer to play.
Yeah, exactly. So or qualifications for finals and things like that. Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty cool. So did we mention where it is?
I don't think we did. No, it's
in Chester.
Correct, above Kingston.
Yeah, above Kingston Town in Jamaica.
Jamaica, yeah.
So it's a floating city, very practical.
It makes sense. It's where all the pirate ships can dock.
Yeah.
Saying that, like we mentioned, not actually most of the people taking part aren't themselves pirates, and the games themselves are not on regular like working pirate ships. If you see what I mean, they're ones built specifically for the games.
Yeah, exactly. So specifically constructed because of course a lot of the pirate games. You can't just have several games on the same ship and so on. So each ship is basically optimized for one particular game. Huh?
Yeah.
I don't think maybe in the past that was the case, but now all of them have really been specifically constructed for the pirate games.
Yeah, I think early on they would use like old pirate ships, ones that were no longer suitable for
like decommissioned
flying
ones,
around. Exactly. But by now, they're all custom built for each particular game. They're focused on a particular game, or at least a particular set of games.
And I think also the more commercial, the more famous, the bigger it became. Of course, they also have the funds to build specifically these custom ships, and it's also part of the attraction. Like, if there's no game being played, you can basically explore the ship.
After the games are complete, like not beforehand, on account of what if someone like accidentally or on purpose, breaks something or sabotage or whatever. But after the games are complete, then they become a tourist attraction. Yeah, you can
definitely
walk around.
And also, but they do tours also during the pirate games when there's no games taking place on the
supervised
ships.
tours.
Yeah. And of course, like you have the spectator ships. So when you get tickets,
much larger,
exactly, and they hover around the ship where it's actually taking place, kind of like constructing some sort of air stadium. Yeah. So in Chester this time. So they've been putting a lot of marketing money in these. So some of these ships look definitely more spectacular than necessarily is necessary.
I mean, definitely more spectacular than necessary, and also more spectacular than they have been in previous games. They really outdid themselves.
Yeah, and I hadn't planned to go there, but of course it's going on for a few weeks now, or like it will be going on.
I'm sure
for
it
a
just
few
started,
weeks.
and exactly.
I don't know. Maybe there's still some tickets to some minor game.
I think it's
available?
like fully booked, but we can have a look. Sometimes people have to cancel.
Or maybe we can ask Gwendolyn.
Maybe she can hook us up.
Because
she actually was involved, like we mentioned her before in the episode where we went to the tallest skyscraper.
Yeah.
We were meant to meet her. In the end, she couldn't meet us, but she arranged that trip for us. And she's been involved with these current pirate games.
Yeah.
In terms of designing some of the new ships.
Yeah, and then maybe she has some free tickets or knows the right people or whatever. She was telling some interesting stories about like the last couple of months about constructing. They had a real pirate as a consultant. I think it was from Stradivarius.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So, but a consultant just in terms of how the ship should look?
Yeah, to make it more piratey.
Okay.
Because it's basically they like the initial designs, or at least, of course, they were more focused on the actual game, to make sure the rigging was optimized.
Right, for climbing and...
exactly, for the acrobatics.
Nest for nesting,
those kind of things. But they want them to look more piratey, so they hired a real pirate consultant. And then a high fee, obviously.
He charged a high fee, a lot of money.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's a pirate, so and then apparently he spent most of the time just drinking synthethol and just laying around, just singing along, and then I mean, apparently it was a pretty fun experience.
Mm-hmm.
So pirates.
Sure, and then like, okay, they had one as a consultant, but usually it's not endorsed by pirates at large, and usually they're not involved in any professional capacity other than, it sounds like, this consultant.
Yes, exactly. And also I think the participants, they are all, I mean, they can be professionals, but they're very rarely actually pirates. So there's no sponsorship of the pirate ships, although they could use a sponsorship.
Yeah, that would work. Whole ships. I got it. A sponsor. So a sponsorship flying around in the sky, sponsoring the ships.
Yes.
It's itself. Yeah, we got it.
Okay, we get it.
Its sales would have big pictures of whatever it's advertising. Is the point?
Yeah. Oh, no, that's a really good sponsorship. But officially, so it's not endorsed by pirates. They don't want anything to do with it. But unofficially, they're definitely there.
Yeah. Looking out, at the very least, just looking out, scouting for potential new recruits.
Yeah, totally. Checking out their new cabin boy trainee or
plank walking specialists.
Definitely, yeah.
Stuff like that.
And of course, it's all about piratey stuff. So it's like with celebrities, you look at the audience, it's like, hey, that's the captain of that ship, just wearing sunglasses, whatever. So do you have any favorite games? Which ones are you looking forward to most, or have you already seen?
I haven't seen any yet because we just saw the opening ceremony, but my favorite is always the crow's nesting. And that's like, it's a little bit, well, it's not quite a triathlon, it's a duathlon. There's basically two tasks. There's the climbing down to the crow's nest, so under the ship, climb down to the crow's nest, get there, build a really cool nest, and then climb back. And it's judged on two factors, like speed, of course, who's faster, who gets back the soonest, but then also how comfortable is the nest that you've built in the crow's nest.
Yeah, it's a really cool combination of like athletic ability and art. Yeah.
Interior design, stuff like that.
What my favorite game is by far?
If you've told me before, I've forgotten, so please say again.
Ship somersaulting. And not just because it really rolls off the tongue like that. Ship somersaulting. It's really, for me, this is the classic pirate experience.
So like, meaning jumping between ships?
Yeah. Just, either you use this rope or you use this big pole.
I hear like either swinging from ship to ship or pole vaulting, would it be? Or?
Yeah. And that's basically and then it's kind of like a parkour. You go from one ship to another and then maybe back and so on. So you basically have to follow and then you get to decide if you want to use the poles or the ropes or a combination of those. And then it's basically really, you show your skill, how good you move from one ship to another. And that's for me really the classic pirate experience. So that's what I look forward to the most. It's also really spectacular and exciting to see because you have like 4 or 5 sporters at the same time.
Yep. And it's always fun. I do enjoy the aspect of that, which is, usually they always make it. But if they make a mistake, if they don't quite jump with enough force or swing with enough force, they'll miss the ship and fall down.
Yeah.
And it's fine, they're teleported to safety, but it's still kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah, exactly. It has this traumatic event because you see they miss the ship, they fall down, and then of course, like, they get saved, because they have this teleporter and that down there. But then they're out. That's it.
Right, exactly. Disqualified.
Yeah. So if there's this is often where 5 start and 3 make it to the finish line. And of course, there are different variations. So one you have to do with an eye patch, and then there's
so you don't have depth perception.
Yeah, exactly. That makes it a lot harder. And then of course, where you have to you can only hop on one leg, for example. And
at least when you're playing with an eye patch, by now it's not a secret. Like we mentioned, the custom-built pirate ships, there are like grid patterns on the on the decks and so on, so that even though you can't actually judge depth, you can at least count those and work out where you are accordingly.
Yeah, that's true.
But still, that's a skill to do in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you don't actually know what you'll be encountering, right? Because they're not empty decks. Like there are barrels and treasure chests and mobs and so on.
Parrots flying back and forth.
Definitely. So that's for me, that's the most exciting one, and especially because it has many rounds. Because it has many variations, you know, the plain one, the eye patch one, the hopping one, and so on. And then it's many rounds until you get to the final. That's just, I'm getting excited already.
Indeed.
So, but it's only starting in a week, or almost a week. Yeah, I already wrote it down on my calendar.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite games are the ones which are maybe less obvious. So, for example, my next favorite is making lemonade.
Yeah, why is that in there?
So back in long ago, it was a thing where pirate ships didn't have, or ships in general, sailors didn't have enough vitamin C. If they weren't careful, they would get scurvy. So they made sure to eat things with lemons, because the lemons could be stored well. And then, okay, what are you going to do with lemons? You make lemonade. And so games are to make the tastiest. You know, it's like a bit like with the crow's nesting, with the making lemonade. You know, making the tastiest, just the most delicious lemonade, but also with a time limit.
So that makes sense actually. But that, I think, how can you, if you're really good at it, then all these lemonades must be really good, right? How can you...
How's it judged?
Yeah.
Impartial judges.
Oh, really? Wow.
So robots, of course.
Yeah, sure. Robots tasting lemonade.
Exactly, because meaning, so impartial in the sense, they can reset their taste buds, you know?
Of course.
So taste it, you know, judge it, but then it doesn't matter which order they taste them in, because they can specifically partition those memories and those tastes off in their mind and judge them independently.
And of course, they can also taste the tiniest of differences that maybe we humans can't.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, it's I mean, it's like been forever part of it, but I've never really understood why it's in there. But at one point, you don't really question anymore,
sure,
right? It's just part of pirate game.
That's true. Like cannonball putting. Holding a cannonball in your hand and trying to throw it as far as you can. And it doesn't really go far. At least it doesn't go horizontally far because they're really heavy.
Yeah.
But okay, you're throwing it off of a pirate ship. It goes a really long way down.
Yeah. And then all the way down below where it lands, they have little lines on how far you get.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It seems like you were just saying, like, why are these even games? And I mean, I guess long ago that was the best they could do, and it stuck around.
Yeah, I guess. Or maybe, I'm not sure how they started. Maybe they did this stuff while being a pirate. They were actually making lemonade. They were actually putting cannonballs. You know?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So maybe when the cannon broke, they were just throwing them at each other. I don't know. This was probably a real thing.
It seems very likely.
I like, there's also a combination of skill and art, I guess, or athletics and art. That's the plank walking. So this is, of course, not, I mean, jumping off the plank is one thing, but then the whole, you know, acrobats you do while you're in the air.
Right, like the flips and the turns and the twists.
Yeah, and I like it. It's always a combination of two participants, right? So two people. So there's the person, let's say, directing, and there's the person actually jumping. So it's always a couple. And, you know, they're always focusing on the person jumping, but it's basically, in my personal opinion, the skills of the person handling, I don't know what the proper word is, the handler, let's call them the handler. The skills of the handler is what often makes the difference.
Yeah. Well, they have a headset so they can talk with each other even as the diver or the plank walker is diving through the sky, you know, because, okay, they jump off the plank or walk off or step off the plank. Either way, they leave the plank, exit the plank on the pirate ship, and then it's a huge long distance down to the ground below.
Very long distance.
Exactly. So they have a lot of time to flip, to twist, to do all kinds of maneuvers. And with their headset, they can have advice from their handler.
I think the handlers are often is too much, but they are occasionally then recruited by pirates. Apparently, that's the kind of profession that they're really looking for on a real pirate ship.
Yeah,
I guess also pirates prefer somebody who directs other people to jump off the plank.
Rather than the people who jump off.
Yeah, makes sense actually. Yeah. What do you think of the rigging acrobats?
I mean, that's actually my least favourite's a bit strong, but basically the one I enjoy the least.
Yeah.
It's just people climbing up and down the rigging. And of course, okay, it's like a race, who can do it the fastest, who can do, you get extra points for doing like different, flourishes or acrobatic moves. I don't know. For me, it's less interesting.
The only reason that I watch it is because they sing.
Oh, while they do it.
Yeah, so that's
so that you're listening for the music.
Yeah. It's because it's nicely hypnotizing because they sing all these old pirate songs, and then it's while they climb, and then in unison, or what do you call it? Because
they're synchronized.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's synchronized. Yeah, so and there's usually I think 6 or 8 in a team, and they do basically the same climbing kind of tricks next to each other, and they sing, and this is kind of relaxing. So, but that also means that I find myself not actually paying much attention, just more listening and getting like relaxed and hypnotized. Yeah. Is one thing I think we should point out, or at least I want to point out, is the treasure hunting.
That's for the audience.
Yeah,
rather
for the
than
audience.
The people taking part in the games.
I think there was such an awesome trick to get as many people as you can to actually watch.
Right, because they need to watch throughout. Can't just like watch the highlights. I mean, you can just watch the highlights, but then you have a much lower chance of being able to win the treasure hunt.
Yeah, exactly. So this is basically if you watch all of the pirate games, there's clues hidden throughout that send you on a treasure hunt, and only if you've picked up on all the clues, you're able to find the treasure, which is hidden somewhere.
And is a legitimate old-fashioned pirate treasure. So a big wooden treasure chest, open it up, gold doubloons, gemstones, all kinds of fancy stuff.
And the thing is, this is then buried somewhere on Earth. And this is where the next pirate games is going to be. So in 32 months, it's going to be in, we don't know yet officially. And let's say this is in Canada. This is now buried there where the next pirate games are going to take place. And if you pay attention, you get all the clues. Everybody in the world is going to go searching. At one point, it's going to be found, and then it's going to be announced. Yeah, that's. I haven't seen any clues so far. You?
Not yet. No, didn't notice anything in the opening ceremony.
Also, I must say, in the last pirate games, I've maybe once thought that could be a clue, but I also haven't watched much of it.
Yeah. In that sense, it's not that you need to be a professional, but okay, if you've been following the games for many decades and really paying attention to the nuances, you'll have a higher likelihood of picking up on the clues.
Of course, there are people then exchanging these. I think I saw this and so on. So if you don't actually watch it, but pay attention to the news or the forums or the message boards or the chats or the friends or whatever, you'll still be able to pick up on some things. Yeah. So pirate games. I think I'm gonna stay up tonight. I think the
what's the time zone difference actually? I'm not sure off the top of my head, but either way, it's it'll be going late into the night for us.
For us, definitely, yeah. But I think the crow's nest climbing is starting.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah, so maybe we can.
In 10 minutes or so.
10 minutes?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then
I think we've got time. No worries.
Okay, yes, I'm getting all stressed out. Okay. Okay, then maybe we can watch it afterwards. But not until we get to the listener email.
Exactly. Let me read one that we have here. So Archibald wrote to us saying, "Hey guys, I really loved episode 146. Did you know that pie is both 3.14 and also very tasty? Bye." Thank you for the email, Archibald. I did know that.
Yes, I did know that too. Also now...
I mean, the tastiness depends on the pie, but in general, pie can be tasty.
Also, listening to this now, is that where pirates came from?
So where they were like people who rated pies, like who scored pies on a scale of 5 stars or something?
Maybe they were pie raters.
Yeah. I mean, I've never actually thought about the origin of the word pirate. It could be that. I mean, none of the games at the moment involve pies, but maybe in the past they did.
Or maybe they were rating the 3.14.
Yeah, I know pi goes to many more digits, but I also only, in the email here, Archibald only wrote 3.14, and I don't remember the rest, so, but yeah, something to do with the number, you mean?
Or maybe they were asking for pirates, and they weren't getting any, and that's why they started stealing.
It's a bit of a stretch.
There's a bit of a stretch.
Maybe it's unrelated to pirates.
Maybe
but at least the number and the tasty food, those are obviously related.
Maybe it's really related to pyrotechnics.
Oh, we did mention those earlier.
Or maybe the pyrotechnics were initially done with pies.
Sure, exploding ones that you throw through the sky.
And that's where the pirates got their name, because they were using... Okay, now I'm getting lost. Okay, cool. Archibald, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the email.
Yes, you cleared up a whole lot of things. Cool.
Yeah, so then listeners to this episode of Test from the Future, please send an email to us at microlasagna5@gmail.com. Include the number 203 in the subject line so that we know this episode went back successfully. And if you have any questions or things you want to tell us, like Archibald did there, please include those in the email too.
And for now, thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.